Namaste. With regard to fate, often we have this question: is fate fixed, or is fate something which can be changed? As always, the answer is yes and no. There is something that is fixed, and there is something that changes. And this ability to change and what is fixed, this is where the whole secret lies. So today in Gems from Savitri, we are going to read this aspect. It comes when Ashupati reaches the greater mind. So at different levels, we have different visions and experiences of the same thing. So somebody who is deeply entrenched in the physical consciousness, fate will appear like a rigid mechanical chain. A determinism which nothing can change. You can't just change it. Then somebody who lives in the vital itself begins to, that conviction comes that no, I can change it. It's still a vital thing. But it can, to an extent, by the vital will, we know that we can change the fixed determinisms even of the physical, just by vital will to live and survive. There are people who, where it was 100% certain from every standard that they are going to die, they survived because there was a strong will. Similarly, the power of thought. So as we ascend from the level, ground level, to higher and higher regions, we discover a greater and greater freedom. This is the basic law. 90%, in fact, more than that, humanity unfortunately lives in the physical. That's why when Mother was asked, why do you use filters in the ashram? Because we don't really believe in germs and viruses. We believe they are vibrations of forces. So she says, yes, I have given you the greatest truth, not exact words, but most of us live in the physical consciousness. And when you live in the physical consciousness, the means are physical. And that's what we see in Book 1, Canto 2, where at the end of the canto, all now seems nature's vast machinery and endless servitude to mechanical rule. So nature in its most outward formulation appears very mechanical. But like any action has behind it will, feeling, thought and intent and many things. So also as we go behind, we discover a greater and greater freedom till we discover a Godhead stands behind the brute machine. So is that the only true? No, there is something else which is fixed. At the physical consciousness, everything looks like fixed unfolding of fate. But there is also something else which is fixed, which is so wonderful to know, so reassuring, and it is our ultimate destiny. So that is like the seed fixed in the soil. It has to struggle to come out. You just can't help it. After coming out, it can start branching in this direction, that direction. But again, what is fixed is that within the seed, the tree is fixed. So what each of us will one day manifest, which is ultimately the manifestation of divinity, not in one life, another life, as half human, half animals, and with sprinkling of God. This is not what is our destiny. Our destiny is what will ultimately become, and that becoming at its end is going to be something beautiful and divine. This is something very beautiful about Sri Aurobindo. He reassures us that you don't have to go through this 84 lakh yoni to ultimately again fall back into an animal kind. It is going to, there is something within us which is going to push us forward and forward toward that ultimate divine disclosure. So right now we'll see it from this vantage point. And as Ashupati ascends, imagine he reaches that point which in Book 3, Canto 4, where he is face to face with the Supreme Mother. And she says that, now the conversation is no more about individual fate. With the Supreme Mother, he is speaking about the fate of earth. And she says, man is not ready. It's not about you are ready. So, but you are alone. Nobody is asking for it. And then he says, but what is impossible for you? So at that level, everything can be annulled. As the mother says, grace can completely annul karma. Now, these are the two levels. But when it annuls karma, what it does, it's like disentangling the weeds which are preventing us from growth toward the inevitable destiny which we are meant to manifest. And here, from the greater mind, where there are gods who are receiving these truths, these higher powers which are working, we don't see it. We see only surface events. We see what happened in Afghanistan, we see what happens in a particular year with this virus. But there are powers which are greater, which are watching over it. Not even the supreme divine, but the gods. They are in their own way working toward the unfolding of events. And we see this beautifully in the Trojan War. So many people, die and survive. The great civilization collapses. And the beauty is that just before it collapses, Zeus, he calls a conference of the gods and says, I have decided. So what you have decided? That Troy will fall. They don't like it. Troy is a wonderful civilization. Actually, and all around are Greek tribes. So any logical person will say, but why would you do it? So some of the gods are very unhappy and they are worshipping some of the gods. He says, whatever it be, your days are over, so you withdraw yourself supporting those who worship you, whom you were supporting. So they are not happy because this is not the nature of the gods to do that. And yet they have to do it. And when they do it, of course, the force, the power, energy that comes down. On the other hand, other gods who have been told now you're on the right side of history, like Athene, same thing we see in Perseus the Deliverer, that Poseidon, the Rudra, who is, the great destroyer, and his era is gone, and in his place comes Athene, the goddess of wisdom, Maheshwari. So she comes and takes over towards a greater truth. So there, the cycles are being discussed. So she removes all the weeds that come in the way of her fulfillment of destiny. But even before that, there are gods, higher powers, beings who do this kind of work. So here there is a beautiful description. The unseizable forces of the cosmic world bear in their back-end limbs the fixity of an original foresight that is fate. So gods are told, unseizable forces. And look at it, back-end limbs the ecstasy, because it's a divine work which will unfold. We see in Mahabharata a gory war, and people who live on the surface, they will say, oh, the lesson of Mahabharata is don't be violent, don't, fight always leads to... That's not how the gods look at this world. For them, it's a toy. And sometimes when they mold a toy, the toy may feel, it's a half-conscious toy, oh my God, what are you doing? But what will the god say? It's okay, can cry a little bit. I know what I am doing. Out of this toy, I am going to make something beautiful. But the gods cannot communicate this, or man is not ready to listen. So these forces are bearing in their back-end limbs, back-end, this ecstatic ecstasy of an original foresight. What is the foresight? Something else is going to come which is far more beautiful. So when Trojan War took place and Troy collapsed, at that point of time it would have looked a tremendous destruction of civilization. But what was nature's plan? Nature said, why only Troy? We want everybody to come together. So all the Greek tribes, which were far less developed, you have an Odysseus here, Achilles, the war machine, all these few people are there. But Troy is a very developed civilization, both in its spirituality and occult. But it comes down. But slowly as a result, the whole civilization now grows to a point where later on you have the kind of polity, the kind of thinkers that came, and you had a new kind of politics, democracy. All this came later on, because Troy fell. That time it must have been a catastrophic event. Even nature's ignorance is truth's instrument. How reassuring this is. We are ignorant, but he is using even our ignorance. And if we can consciously offer it, so much the better. So it may look like, things which are catastrophic, even behind it, there is a greater truth which is working. Our struggling ego cannot change her course. Yet is it a conscious power that moves in us. How does it act? A seed idea is parent of our acts. Normally we are told your karma, this, that. But what is the original karma? It is hinted in the Gita. Original karma flows from the divine. Seed idea. Each one of us. And each of this seed idea are like the million, trillion rays of the sun, parent sun. And it is sown inside us. That seed idea will compel to emerge. That's exactly what Shri Krishna starts with in the Gita. Arjuna, you will be compelled to act. It cannot be otherwise. You're not born to be a sannyasi. You'll only delay the whole thing. This is exactly what happens again in the Trojan War. Achilles says, I won't act. So destiny compels him. A time comes when he loses his own nephew. This story comes too much into my mind again and again. And that time he enters into the fray, and the whole tide of war changes. He says, you will be compelled to act. There is no choice with you. So, and destiny, the unrecognized child of will with a capital W. What the divine has foreseen in our depths, that our nature will be compelled to manifest. We may blame ourselves, we may complain about people, we may say this, that. That's ignorant vision, and we have to go through that process. But eventually, it is the will within creation and within the individual depths that is bound to emerge. Because that's the meaning of that, I think, 1954 message of the mother. Finally, no human will can finally prevail against the divine will. Put yourself deliberately on the side of the divine, and the victory is certain. Anyways, the divine will win. Infallibly, by truth's directing gaze, all creatures hear their secret self disclose, forced to become what in themselves they hide. Look at the whole image. Truth's directing gaze. It is not saying it. Look at Sri Aurobindo's, darshan days, even otherwise. He's just seeing infinity. But directing gaze. Directing gaze is the dynamic aspect of truth. And that one sees in with mother. They say with Sri Aurobindo's presence, it was like infinity. But the moment mother came, there was such a power of transformation. Even Sri Aurobindo would suddenly sit in the bed like this and say, Mother is coming, Mother is coming. It's the power of trust. They say that when she came, they suddenly could see in their depths things that were hidden. Normally we have a very neat facade, and her presence unclosed things, every side aspect of whatever was hidden. And then it compelled by the fact that the divine was seen. You come out, come out, come out. That's all. She doesn't have to do anything. Directing gaze. So this knowledge which is becoming dynamic and power. And it compels things to disclose what is their secret self. You can't hide, and that's one of the things that we see happening in the world. People often ask what happened on 15th August. It is truth's directing gaze compelling us to see what we didn't want to see. What we didn't want to see, everything is wonderful. But it's not wonderful. The roots of evil are very much there. Oh, what a lovely thing, a nation has gone there, and no, sir, it has pauperized. You have to bring the strength from within. It's the same lesson. Like, as long as we depend on external aid, be it medicine or anything else, we will never develop our own strengths. In fact, we'll become more and more pauperized. So there are people who believe in orphanages, giving a lot of money and all. What we are doing is exactly what has happened recently. That you are pauperizing them. You are giving them things which one cannot handle, and they have not really worked for it. So you need to develop the strengths of people. So divine said, take it away. Now the people have to speak, and people have to emerge. And if they don't like a way of life, they have to revolt. And if they don't revolt, the whole thing may collapse. That is the extent to which the truth is acting. That you have to speak up. Nobody else is going to come and speak on your behalf all the time. So this is the second lesson, which so beautifully. Third, the duplicity in our international relations. All that is getting exposed. I don't want to go into its, details, very dark side of this creation. But that darkness, when it is split, what happens? Suddenly in light you see the ugly things which were hidden very neatly in the cover of darkness. And that happens every day, every night. So morning when people wake up and they rush to the bathroom, they don't look what they want themselves to look. So they immediately want the covering up starts, wash your face. So all that darkness emerges. All those things. Infallibly, by truth's directing gaze, all creatures hear their secret self disclose, forced to become what in themselves they hide. Sir, where is the proof? So Sri Aurobindo will give us a very interesting everyday proof. People often ask that, show a miracle, show a miracle. So at least I tell them that, look here, you see this tree, it's a miracle. Why it's a miracle? This tree once was small, little, teeny weeny. That's called a seed. I said, yes. But don't you imagine in that seed, a little plasm, a sperm, and a gas climbs to become a conqueror and a sage. It's an everyday miracle. Don't we see it? Acha, we never looked at it like that. But that is science, yes. So miracles have a process. Miracles don't hang in a vacuum. But nevertheless, look at the audacity of the Creator. In a small, dumb parent seed hides the cosmic idea. Look at the audacity. There is the great big banyan tree, small little thing. He says it will happen. Imagine if somebody who doesn't understand all this and there was a conversation with Creator. He says, what is this? What are you planning to make out of it? Oh, huge tree. Many birds will come and take shelter and this man will start, yawning and, sir, please, tell us something real. Don't imagine things. He said, I can't help it. I've been imagining very fantastic things and all my imaginations turn out to be true. But said, that's okay. But this seed, this little thing, you say that it will become into a very big tree. Yes. And the tree will send further roots down. Now you are crossing limits of fantasies. This is nothing. People will sit below it and have realizations, sir. Please, bahut ho gaya aaj ke liye. Too much for today. Please, can you just throw the seed aside and we can talk something more sane, like how do I meditate and have self-attainment? So you say, okay, he will throws the seed aside. And the fellow meditates. After a few years, he says, this seed is actually developing into the banyan tree which God had once told me. And then he says that, why am I trying to withdraw from this world? Why don't I engage in the manifestation? Within me also there is such a seed. So this seed is the parent. And we are forced to become. What a wonderful thing. Often this used to be one of my complaints with the divine. Why are you giving freedom? Take this freedom away. Compel. Do it. I can't do it myself. So you hear, yes, there is a secret compulsion in things. But don't do it prematurely. The time is fixed, the space. You just be with me. Just hold on. Or let me carry you. Then you discover the great secret. As today was telling something very beautiful. You put how much ever amount of water you want to put. This Kabir's Doha. Somebody remembers this? Dhero pani. But the seed will blossom in its own time. There is a season. So there is a season for that blossoming. Between the sowing of the seed and the blossoming, there is a time. And we have to learn to respect it. If we become hasty, impatient, we may do something. Somebody else may suggest, no, you put in this urea. So you'll put urea. Nahi nikal raha. So somebody else will come and say, no, put that one, tea leaves, somebody else. So after some time, poor seed is getting frustrated that just leave me to myself. So if you ask divine, you'll say, just wait. Learn to wait with trust and faith. It's a journey. Learn to endure. Sir, we don't have to do anything. Yes, faith and endurance. Then the seed will grow. Yes. We don't need to do all these extra. No. Why? How it will grow? I am present in it. I'll ensure it will grow, but you have to wait for the season. So this is the whole thing which we see in life. For he, with a capital H, who is with a capital I. He who is, grows manifest in the years. He alone is. And he will grow manifest in the years. The baby Krishna is destined to destroy Kansa, and much more than the Akashvani could even imagine. Akashvani stopped with Kansa. It didn't want to say more about Krishna. Krishna must have stopped. Please, it's not about Kansa. It's about much more. So what Kansa did? He ended up hastening his own destruction by doing deeds which took him to the brink. See, otherwise, maybe if Kansa heard the Akashvani, he could have taken a route, one day I am going to die. Maybe like Buddha, he could have walked. But what was the seed within the Kansa? You have to come back to me through that path. Origin was Jai Vijay. So he is compelled to be what, if you see Kansa's choice is still okay. Ravana's choice, he's seeing everybody is getting destroyed. Still he says maybe he is human. Because there is in him that choice which the divine himself has planted. You have to come back to me through this path. So everything within, even that which opposes the divine, is part of a single plan. That's how Sri Aurobindo experiences in the Alipur jail. That the man who is pleading on your behalf and the man who is pleading against you, I am speaking through them all. So here comes this. For he who is grows manifest in the years. And now comes that wonderful proof. And the slow Godhead shut within the cell. We thought there is nucleus and plasma and atoms. Almighty powers are shut in nature cells. And the slow Godhead shut within the cell climbs from the plasm to immortality. Nothing is an exaggeration. This is after all, it's the journey of the unicellular cell, of the virus to man. It's the journey of inside the cell, the sage and the conqueror were there. Slow journey. So why do we believe this is going to end here? So many times when we try to help from outside, we actually delay the journey. This what we don't realize. That's what Sri Aurobindo says in his aphorisms, medical aphorisms. That medical science, like a crutch, it will not allow you to walk and run. So it is all the time, no, take this, take that. Now it has gone to, fantastic levels. For everything, you must take this. This may happen, that may happen. Somebody asked that, can we, supposing people didn't take the vaccine. A million years people have not taken. They didn't even have allopathic medicine. But we have not only survived, but evolved. Because there is something inside which will compel. But we allow it, we give him a chance. So here, it's a powerful line. For he who grows manifest in the years. He is hidden. Sure, we can't see him. But he will become manifest in the years. And the slow Godhead, shut within the cell, climbs from the plasm to immortality. Sir, but we can't see it. What do we do to see it? So he says, but hidden, but denied to mortal grasp, mystic, ineffable is the Spirit's truth. It's hidden like a mystery. Mystic is that. What is hidden? It's like secret inside. And we cannot, the mortal thought is moved by the senses, so it cannot see it. This is the limit of the mortal thought, by the mortal senses. Unspoken, caught only by the Spirit's eye, when naked of ego and mind, it hears the voice. It looks through light to ever greater light and sees eternity and sphering life. Then we see this darkness is only a little, cover in which we cannot hastily go to the sun. So there is a journey in the darkness. There comes a time when suddenly we see that what is ensphering is like coming out of a hole, coming out of a womb. World is so different. So it sees ensphering life. And then there is a very marvelous line which I just want to read. Where a free wisdom works, they seek for a rule. There is a beautiful line in Sri Aurobindo's early writings. I think it is when he is 18-year-old. One, he wrote that Harmony of Virtue, beautiful play. Then there are Stray Thoughts. I don't remember the year it is written, but early writings. He says, to govern life by a set of rules. And then he says with his characteristic humor, a pocket handbook. To govern life by a set of rules. A pocket handbook. So where a free wisdom works, they seek to make rules. That was their problem, everybody's problem with Krishna. They were all breaking the rules. They never lived by the true rules of life. So Krishna says, okay, you want to play this way, I'll play this way. If you want to, I am expert at breaking rules because I have no rules. You guys are breaking the rules. I'll show you what it means to break the rules. So he breaks the rules, but not for adharma, but for dharma. This is the difference. It's not about breaking or making. He breaks the rules, bends the rules, but all of them for that secret truth to unfold, because he carries that. That line, which is one of my favorites, प्रबल प्रेम के पाले पढ़कर प्रभु को नियम बदलते देखा, अपना मान रहे न रहे पर भक्त का मान न टलते देखा. He changes the rules, bends the rules. Where a free wisdom works, they seek for a rule. Why did mother do this? Why did she? People are, she gives more time to somebody, he must be more evolved. Somebody is working directly in mother's room, must be tremendously evolved. Somebody is far off, other end of the world. Maybe mother does not like the person. Sri Aurobindo, letters after letters. She smiled at me, she didn't smile at me. Letters after letters. That please stop judging the divine and his actions according to these human notions. Or we only see a tripping game of chance, or a labor in chains forced by bound nature's law, an absolutism of dumb, unthinking power. That's what we see. But these gods, what do they see? Audacious in their sense of God-born strength, these gods of the greater mind dare to grasp with their thought truths absolute by an abstract purity of godless sight. By a percept nude, intolerant of forms, they brought to mind what mind could never reach and hoped to conquer truth's supernal base. There are gods who can see it. And one cannot imagine why they are the seers, the prophets. They've seen far away what you cannot imagine. 1909, when Sri Aurobindo was asked by a reporter for some Tamil journal, a weekly or some newspaper, that, sir, what do you foresee? 1909. What he would have foreseen based on our politicians called on TV? I don't know, we are trying, maybe, one day we will be, Britishers and, we have to find some way, maybe all this mumbling and fumbling, parties, politics. Sri Aurobindo says that I see great churning and revolutions which are going to come in this world, and amidst all these revolutions, India will get free. What, sir? You're talking about India's freedom? Yes. What else? The sun of India's destiny will rise and overflow India and overflow Asia and overflow the world. Sir, British Empire, sir, please take into consideration. They have sounded their death knell when they took me to the jail. It's not about me, but the divine manifest upon earth. They had not read the Mahabharata. The fellow who tried it, Duryodhana, the final nail in the coffin when he tried to tie Sri Krishna. And that was the time, it was the death knell for the entire Kuru army. That time it was decided, Bhishma, Drona, what doesn't matter. First was Draupadi and second is, you have tried to tie me, now I'll show you. Not out of an ego, but this was the final nail in the coffin. They had already dug their grave deep. So when they tried to tie Sri Aurobindo and took them, it was fated. But this too was the part of a process. There was a time when the sun of British Empire would not set. That's how it was called. Today, the son of British Empire says, maybe we'll make a pact with Taliban if necessary. This is the state in which things can go. If you see 1900, could anybody have predicted all this? This is how the vision works. We may not see it in this life, next life, doesn't matter, but it is bound to be the supramental creation, the truth creation, because at the base of this world, there is truth and not falsehood. It is bound to emerge regardless of all the oppositions, denials and resistance of the world. But let us deliberately put ourselves on the side of the affirmation of this truth rather than on the side of denials. Namaste.